Yeah, it's on. Is it good? Am I online now? Hi, guys. Hello. Good morning. So I just wanted to touch base with you because we're having right now a little coffee and networking here. Maybe Sashka, you can just show around to the online audience. We're just chilling here, getting ourselves ready. Um, the whole group team and a few participants have come. Anita, Leslie, and so we will be back with you in 5 minutes. Okay, so just stay with us. Thank you. 5 minutes before we start the presentation. Rushika, do we have the panelists online? Okay.
Pledge helping Syrian refugees. Judith, the individual learner, story of health, and well, that would be story of health. That's all. They haven't signed in yet, so we're still waiting.
Okay. Are we online, Frank? Yeah. Yes, we are. Okay. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone here. Good morning. Thanks for coming. This is going to be a really exciting day, actually. I think we've been working really hard. The team here is working really hard to coordinate 20 teams for today. We're really happy to have you here. So the way the day is going to work is basically we schedule the 20 teams into 5 groups, each group of approximately four teams, and that's how we're going to go through the day. Each of those group of teams are going to be an hour and a half discussion period. So we're going to start each of those panels with the 4 teams presenting shortly, between 8 to 10 minutes each team, which is going to leave us around, again, 40 minutes after that, around 40 minutes to have an open conversation. And then we can start to address questions, comments, feedback, and let the teams also discuss between themselves for 40 minutes. It's going to be basically an open floor discussion. So while we're waiting for our first group of panelists, right, Rushika? We're waiting for them. We're still waiting for them to come online. Why don't we go quickly around the table and then we just introduce ourselves, like especially to our participants that have come from wherever they've come. You've come from the States, right? Alan? Okay, so yeah, we're gonna leave you with the crowd here. Do you want to say a few words, Leslie, too?
I'd be happy to. Hi, and welcome whoever's online. We're thrilled about this. It's nearing the culmination of a lot of work and a lot of joy that's gone into the group, and we're really happy that this day has finally come. So thanks for joining us.
I would just want to echo what Leslie just said. Welcome to everyone. It's going to be a terrific day. Thank you to everybody who put time and effort into coordinating it. And yes, okay, I can say, as a group co-design team, we've talked about in metaphorical terms that we've birthed this MOOC to life, but there's a second baby. So Carlos just pointed it out. I should probably say I'm 16 weeks pregnant. So there you go. There's a second group baby happening at the same time. So I'm really happy to, yeah. Oh, that's what you wanted. Oh, sorry. I thought it was all about me. That's hilarious. So Henry can't be with us. You want to speak to this?
Sure.
Okay.
Hi. As most of you know, if not all of you, there are 4 of us on this design team. And Henry, who is one of the co-principals of the group, is in the hospital awaiting bypass surgery for tomorrow morning. He just called us. He's looking great, feeling great, and wishes he could be here, and we also wish he could be here. So we miss him today. He might be watching, and if not, he'll be watching at some future point, and he's as excited as we are about the whole thing.
And so welcome to some of our friends who have come in from quite far to be here today. First visit to Montreal, as I understand.
Yeah. I'm Alan Botenth. I drove up yesterday from Norwalk, Connecticut to give the presentation for our transition team. That'll be happening at 1:30. And Eddie on our team is putting me up. And you'll be here on and off today.
Yeah, sorry, I'm also part of the transition team and happy to be here. I'm from Dorval, a little bit closer by.
Hi, I'm Paul. I'm here for the 1 p.m. Groocathon team, and I'll be sharing our lessons learned, and happy to interact with everybody here who's got opinions about how hackathons are great or not, and experiment further.
Hi, I'm Deborah Hinton. I'm part of a co-facilitation team with Luce, and she's not here yet, but she will be. And I'm really thrilled to be here because 3 of the teams we've been facilitating are going to be joining us today, and I can't wait to hear their thoughts and how everybody else is thinking about their experience. And hi to Henry, I hope you're feeling better soon.
Hi, my name is Christy Huff. I'm with a team that's called Scaling Social Impact, and 3 other of my team members will be joining remotely at 11 o'clock. And I came because I live on the South Shore of Montreal. I was close. It seemed like a day I could come and just witness and learn from.
Hi, I'm Andras Lennart. I'm one of the course assistants.
Hi, I'm Susan Davis, and I'm one of the co-facilitators for the group. Excited to be here.
Good morning, I'm Ruchika Aurora, and I'm helping to, well, get people online so they can meet all of you. I'm going to pass this on to Frank because I'm dealing with this emails and upset people.
I am Frank, and I'm pushing all the buttons today. And Sashka.
And I'm Sashka. I'm going to be manning the camera.
Yes.
Sashka just introduced herself in less than 3 seconds and said she'd be manning the microphone. But I have to tell you something about Sashka because I'm going to introduce her further. I think this young woman has not quite reached 20 years yet. Is that true, Sashka? She's 19. Sashka joined us last year and has been an amazing partner in the development of this group. Sashka does a great bunch. I don't want to take it away from Frank. A great bunch of our videotaping comes to almost everything we're doing and really gets it. And I don't think I've met too many 19-year-olds who have done what she's been able to do. So we are extremely grateful to her and appreciate her, and not just the enthusiasm, but that too, but the technical ability and the understanding of what we're trying to do. And there have been many who came before her and didn't get it.
Thank you. We have one more in the room. We were just going around to introduce ourselves. Do you want to do that?
I'm David. I'm Dave Rowley. I'm with Paul's group. What else should I tell you? Yeah, I had it cut, and they asked him to make it longer. And I was a McGill person long ago, so I've been in this building thousands of times. When I was in this building thousands of times. Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
So Ruchika, we already have Greg, so maybe we can start with him, right? And Anup is there too. So we have 2 panelists out of 4, so we can start with that. Anup has been in this building too a lot.
So Greg's up first. Now, can he hear me? So how can I? You need a mic. Is there a way to have a mic?
Okay, good morning, Greg. Good morning, Anup. It's Ruchika here. Okay, so Greg, you're the first team, Western Lifestyle Changes for Climate Stability, also known as Climate Pledge, excuse me. So we look forward to hearing you present first. Team 2 is Julie. Julie hasn't signed on yet. Team 3, Judith, I don't think will be joining us today, which brings us to Team 4, Story of Health. That would be you, Anup. So if we can start with you, Greg, and that would be brilliant. And then we'll move to you, Anup. If Jen joins us, she'll present briefly for 8 to 10 minutes, and then we'll have an open conversation with each of you and everyone assembled in this room. There are a whole bunch of us here.
All right. I can't see anybody else, though.
There are a whole bunch of people.
All right. Hello. Hi, Leslie.
Okay, Greg, you're up.
This is Greg. Can you hear me? This is Greg. Can you hear me? Okay. Can you see me? Okay. Can you? I can hear you. Yes.
Yes, we can hear you. We can see you. We cannot touch you, though.
Maybe we could turn the volume down.
Greg, can you probably turn your lights on so we can see you better? That's better.
Is that better?
Yes. So the floor is yours, Greg.
I just did turn my lights on. I'm getting two separate signals. I can hear my speaking about 15 seconds after I have spoken.
Because you also have, you don't only have, you are in the Google Hangout right now with us, but you also have the streaming on the edX platform or YouTube. So turn off that one, the second one. So we just stay with us in the Google Hangout.
Okay, I think that worked. You show me a thumb if you can hear me. Okay.
Hear you.
Thank you very much to everybody who's made this possible. The Brock has been a wonderful experience, and we really look forward to getting some feedback on our social initiative. Our social initiative is now called climatepledge.net. It's centered around a website that is to facilitate Westerners making pledges to cut their carbon footprint. The website is at climatepledge.net. Is there a way that you folks in the room can put that website on the screen?
We're gonna put that on screen in just a moment.
Okay.
Now, just so you know, you could also put it up on your own desktop on your own screen, but we're going to do that for you. It might be a little quicker if we do that. So just
Okay.
bear with us.
If I click screen share and then the website, will that work?
Maybe it is quicker if you do it then.
Will that work? Screen share and then just go to the website?
Yes, try that. Please do, Greg.
Can you see it?
Give us a few seconds. Nothing yet so far.
Okay, let's see. Okay, let's try this. Okay, it says I am screen sharing, but I'm just seeing the Groocathon screen. Let me try that again.
So Greg, we actually have Frank. Frank's actually sitting next to me. He's going to pull up the website. So hang tight.
Okay. Well, while he's trying to do that, I'll explain a little bit more. Our theory of change is the following. We think there are a fair number of people in the Western world who are seriously concerned about global warming and who recognize that their lifestyles are contributing to it, and indeed contributing to it disproportionately. because Westerners emit approximately 2 to 3 times the world average of greenhouse emissions. We think if we give them an opportunity to make a pledge to cut their greenhouse gases, which I'll call carbon footprint, that they'll be more likely to do that. And we anticipate that some people will have hesitancies and concerns, and we think if they're given an opportunity to communicate with somebody who's knowledgeable and sympathetic, that they'll be more likely to work through those hesitancies and make a pledge. We also think that some people are likely to encounter problems after they've made the pledge, and if we again give them an opportunity to talk with people who are knowledgeable, they may successfully work through those problems. Finally, we think that people who've made a pledge and encountered problems, but then found ways to work through them, will have advice that they can share with the larger group. The intent is to start with the website, promoting it, trying to get other people to develop foreign language versions of the website so it's easily accessible to Western Europeans who don't have good facility in English. We then hope to work with face-to-face groups that have interests that would make them inclined to try to use our platform to get their members to make pledges to reduce their carbon footprint. Some of the groups we're thinking about right now would be Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, faith groups, student bodies of universities. So that's it in a nutshell. If you go to the, are you seeing the website now? Show me a thumb if you can see the website now. Okay. If you go to the website and click on, why don't we look at the home page? And that gives you just a basic introduction. Then let's go to change strategies, the next page. And here we talk about the extent of Westerners' carbon footprint, and we provide some user hints on 3 different calculators that allow them to do 2 things. One is that they can say, well, how much of my carbon footprint would I reduce if I did such and such? And another way they could use it is they could say, if I wanted to set a target to cut my carbon footprint by, say, 40%, what are the ways I could do that? And then we have a pledge page, which is really just a header to the 4 specific pledge pages about air travel, automobile use, home heating and cooling, and other carbon-based energy use. Let's go to the first of those, air travel. Most people probably wouldn't realize that, at least in the Western world, flying on an airplane is the most globally warming thing you can legally do per hour. There's huge emissions per passenger seat in an airplane. And so after making that point, we indicate a couple alternatives to air travel. You might want to read that paragraph, alternatives. And then you scroll down a little bit more, and there's a pledge form here. And it has 3 specific pledges that people might want to make, and allows them to indicate that they might make some other pledge. They can click to record that pledge, and they can see the percentage of prior respondents who've made each of those pledges. If they click the other category, we ask them to use the form immediately below to let us know the nature of the pledge that they made. The rest of the pages are, well, we have a page on community. Let's go to that. And something is wrong with that page right now, it seems. Okay, now it's loaded correctly for me at least. We talk about our interest in working with other groups, particularly face-to-face groups. We're also hoping that people who make pledges will then bring more pressure on their political representatives to legislate systemic changes that will most definitely be needed if we are to meet the carbon cutback targets that the overwhelming number of scientists think are necessary to avoid serious, devastating climate change within the next 80 years. So I don't know if you want to ask specific questions right now, or whether
Greg,
we wait until the...
Greg, it's Ruchika here. So we're going to move to Anoop from Story of Health. He's going to do his brief presentation. I don't believe his other team members have joined us yet. One might have. But Anoop's going to present his 8 to 10 overview, and then we'll open it up unless we're also waiting for Julie from Helping Syrian Refugees. She's one of your fellow panelists. But we're going to go to Anoop now. He'll present, and then we'll probably move to another team member, okay? Anoop, you're up.
Yes. Joanna, can I call you back in a couple hours?
Is the audio coming through?
We hear you, Anoop.
Okay, great.
Great.
All right, thank you.
Okay, we're good.
So I'm Anoop Kumar. I'm coming to you from Washington, D.C. That room looks very familiar. I think I've been in that room or a room very close to that in the near past when I was doing my management program there. So big hello to Carlos and Leslie. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ruchika, for setting this up. I want to tell you guys a story. When I was 10 years old, I started hearing about some of the problems we face in the world. I started hearing about war, hunger, poverty. And then a few years later, I was 20. And I heard about the problems we're facing in the world. And I heard about war, hunger, poverty, depression, loneliness. And then I turned 30, and I heard about the problems we're facing in the world. I heard about, guess what? Hunger, war, poverty, depression, loneliness. It kind of gets old after a while. In a few years, I'll be 40, and guess what I'm going to be hearing about? Still. So I wonder what's changed from when I was 5 years old and now. In fact, when I look back, I wonder what's changed over the last several decades, maybe the last centuries, or even millennia, because I have a feeling these problems are not new. I have a feeling these problems have always been there. So my question is, why are all of us spending so much time in school, college, graduate degrees, professional degrees, if we're not solving the biggest problems that we're facing today? Are we doing something wrong? Why all the time? Why all the money? Why all the dedication? If you look at the evidence, we're not doing something right. Something's not right. Something's misplaced. What is that? I think what that is that we're living in a world of scarcity. And by the way, we have assumed a world of scarcity. We have assumed a world of scarcity. Let me see if I can demonstrate this for you. Right now, in this moment, you're having two experiences. And in fact, in every moment of your life, from the moment you were born till the moment you leave, you will have two experiences and two experiences only. The first experience is the experience of the content of what's going on around you right now. You're seeing an image of me. You're hearing these sounds coming out of my body. You're feeling the room temperature. You're feeling the seat under your legs. You're having thoughts like, what the heck is this guy saying? Or I should have gone to the bathroom. You might be feeling really happy. You might feel like, oh man, I got to get out of here. I got to get to that next thing I got to go to. Whatever these things are, you're having these experiences, which can all be called content. This is the content of your life right now. And the thing about content is that it's finite. It has a beginning and an end. Every thought you have is a beginning and an end. This Grook had a beginning, it will have an end. Even the biggest things we can imagine, the Milky Way galaxy, has a beginning and an end, right? All of these things are the content of what we're experiencing right now. And that's one of our experiences. The second experience that we're having right now is not of the content. Imagine that all the content was erased. All the sounds, all the sights, all the feelings, all the tastes, all the touches, all the hopes, the dreams, the identities, the stories. If it all went away, you would still know what? You would still know that I exist. You would still know I exist. And not only that, you would know that I am conscious. I am conscious. There are two experiences that we are having. One, I'm conscious of the content of my life. And two, I'm simply conscious. Without any content, I'm still conscious. I submit to you, my friends, that the first experience, an experience of content, is the experience of scarcity. When we focus on things that are limited, that have a beginning and an end, we engage a scarcity paradigm. We buy into a scarcity paradigm. And we need more and more and more to satisfy us. When we engage not the content, but the very consciousness that is aware of that content, we immediately shift into an abundance paradigm. Because consciousness is the canvas on which every experience you have is painted. And you can have experience after experience after experience, good, bad, ugly, good, bad, ugly, good, bad, ugly, and you'll never run out of space on that canvas. It keeps on going and going and going. And it's from that consciousness, from that abundance, that we get creativity and innovation, which is the antidote to every type of scarcity there is. Because we don't need more oil, we just need energy. We don't need more oil, we just need energy, right? We don't need anything. We just need to innovate beyond it to what we really need. And so this shift from a scarcity paradigm to an abundance paradigm is the fundamental core of all education. And without it, all education becomes misguided, because education tells us the details that we need to fill in, to reorganize the world. But that fundamental ability comes from our consciousness itself, not from anything. So there were two great quotes on the climatepledge.net website. Thank you so much, Greg, for that. One was, between the great things we cannot do and the small things we will not do, the danger is we shall do nothing. And so these aren't just words. This is not about sounding good. This is about a shift that's available to us right now, from focusing on things, from focusing on limits, to focusing on the source of all creativity and innovation. The other quote was, we have too many high-sounding words and too few actions that correspond with them. I couldn't agree more. So this is not, again, not about words. This is about shifting attention from the finite to the infinite. So what I'm suggesting is that the way we solve these biggest problems is by shifting to an abundance paradigm, which is available to us right now. We don't have to go anywhere. We don't have to do anything. We just have to pay attention to what is abundant already right now. What I would like help with is clarifying this message so it comes across clearly, and then finding a way, a media, to share this and identify leaders in every sector that can translate this into their own language and start to change some of the intractable problems that we faced, so that I don't see the same thing when I'm 40, 50, 60. Thank you.
Anoop, thanks very much. You have a couple of more minutes. In fact, Greg and Anoop, if there are a couple of sort of closing remarks you want to make, Julie, your colleague, is going to be joining us momentarily. As soon as she joins us, I'll let you know, and then she can begin her brief presentation, and then we'll open it up to the whole group who are anxious to engage with each of you, and I'm sure you're keen to engage with one another. So 1 or 2 minutes, Greg, Anoop, and then Julie at that point will have joined us.
Greg, go ahead.
To add is the ways in which the group participants might be helpful to our initiative. The first thing would be just to go to the website, review it, and on the contact page, give us some feedback about what you like, what you think needs to be improved, and if you have specific suggestions on how to do that, we'd really welcome them. The second thing would be to share it with people you know. A third thing would be if some of you might be orphaned by your own social initiative, to join us in ours as we try to expand it.
So with the extra minute that I have, what I like to do is see if we can taste an experience of this abundance. So what I'd like to have everybody do right now is, as you're listening to me right now, as you're hearing these sounds, just shift your attention to who is listening. So instead of focusing on the sounds, the words that are actually coming from my mouth, instead shift your attention to who is listening to those sounds. And if you detect a presence there, that is your fundamental consciousness that does not depend on any externality, anything in space and time, anything finite for its existence. And the more you spend time there, the more creativity, abundance, innovation will emanate from you and reorganize the things in the world into sustainable patterns and solutions.
Thanks, Anoop. Thanks really isn't a worthy reply. We wish that we all wish that you and Greg were here with us in the room. Julie still hasn't arrived, but I imagine she just needs a couple of more minutes. She's tuning in from Turkey. But why don't we open it up to the group for a couple of minutes? We'll have an interaction amongst all of us, and we'll let you know when Julie signs in. So do we have any? Yeah, we have a few people whose hands are up. So the mics are going to go to audience members like Alan, who's sitting in the back. He's come in from Connecticut.
Can I just say one word before I pass it to Alan? If you see me get up and leave, it's not for lack of interest, but as part of my content world, and I acknowledge that it drives me. Much of the time, I do have a competing meeting, and I'll be back later. But thanks first to both of you, because they were very, very inspiring presentations, and I really appreciate them both. And love to you, Anoop.
Love to you too.
I'm Alan Botens for the transition team. I've also been thinking about the need to shift from a paradigm of scarcity, which has been very much a part of economic philosophy for the past few centuries, to a paradigm of abundance. And you mentioned oil. I think that solar, that's an excellent example, because solar power is free. I mean, it's a renewable source that has no cost added source. So we have an abundance of solar power. We have an abundance of human capital. I mean, there's all over the world, there are lots of people who are unemployed, underemployed in prisons and refugee camps. So we have an enormous abundance of human capital. We have an abundance of information. It's mind-boggling how much information is out there. And we have an abundance, I think, also of capital. A few years ago, Warren Buffett and Bill Gates said that they would pledge the majority of their wealth to philanthropy. They started a billionaires pledge, which is a nice complement to the climate pledge. where I think it's something like 125 billionaires have pledged their fortunes to, or the major portion of their fortunes to philanthropy. And Mark Zuckerberg and Priscilla Chen just joined them with their $45 billion. So there's like a ton of, all of the factors of production for creating not only material goods, but social goods are out there. So the question is how do those, how to combine those abundant resources into the production of social good. And I think that one idea I've had along these lines is the idea that all the abstract ideas that we come up with in these settings have to be operationalized. So how do you operationalize the shift from scarcity to abundance? And I think this group is an example of what I call a hub, a platform for facilitating communication and collaboration. And I think that hubs get away from the sometimes less than optimum values and goals that exist in our other sectors, in the private sector, the public sector, even the nonprofit sector to a large degree, which has to focus too much on reporting back to donors. But I think that like hubs that can bring all the sectors together, especially unaffiliated individuals like me, can bring all these people together and work on how to combine our abundant resources in the production of social goods. I think that's a good way to move. So.
I think what that requires, it's a great that's a great comment. What that requires is systematizing abundance. You know, so there are a few people who believe in abundance, who recognize abundance, but there's abundance at different levels. Some people say that the resources we already have are already abundant, but the processes are not in place. And that's what I hear you saying. The processes are not abundant. The resources are abundant perhaps, but the processes are not abundant is what I'm hearing. And what I'm suggesting is that the processes themselves are abundant when we start from recognizing abundance. So at every level, there are different players involved in translation. What you're talking about is really a question of translation. So how do we translate the experience of abundance into a process of abundance that then affects the content of abundance? That's really a question. And I think the way you do that is you simply have to systematize this. How do you operationalize the first step of that? We shift our attention. You know, sometimes the stuff that sounds so simple sounds like inadequate, sounds like it can't be done. Like, you know I want to say, I'm an ER doc. When I work in the ER, I want to see that patient's blood pressure come up. I want to see them feel better. I want the pain to go away right now. But I also know to get that done, before that, certain things have to be done. I have to talk to the patient. I have to feel out what's going on. Sometimes an IV has to be placed. So some of these intermediate measures have to take place. How does that happen? If I run into a room helter-skelter, be like, oh my God, what are we going to do? Let's do this, let's do this. Everybody goes crazy. But if I walk in, and I walk in with abundance, the problem in a way is already solved. It just has to manifest through process and through content. And so I think this shift in consciousness from content to consciousness is operationable right now. Right now, everybody in this room, everybody who's hearing this can do this. And I think this message has to be part of the systemic solutions. Part of the so-called real world solutions has to be this message. Because without starting and operationalizing abundance in our own personal experience right now, there's always a chasm. There's always a chasm, and that's what's manifesting as the process problem. The process problem of there not being the processes to convert resources into actual abundance in real life. So that's what I would suggest.
I'm just going to chime in before I leave for 1 second, and just to ask you, Anoop, if you're free for part of a day in July, we want you back to carry this message to Module 5 of the current IMHL cohort, and I'm going public with it, so block your calendar.
All right, I'm there.
Great. I don't think it's a coincidence at all that the two opening presentations are about two of the biggest
issues that we face as a human society. Climate change is really about whether we can sustain life on the planet, and it's about the equitable distribution of resources. And that, Anoop, what you're talking about in terms of paradigm of abundance is very much, the fact that we are spiritual beings having a human experience as opposed to human beings having a spiritual experience. And I'm going to post it onto the Facebook group. There's a film that was produced a few years ago called Fierce Light, and it's basically making the claim that the two big movements of our time, that is the environmental, climate change, social justice movement, and an awakening spiritual movement that is secular and non-religious, are colliding, and colliding in the most positive use of the term, that those two forces are coming together. And what I've noticed personally, just if I can add, Anoop, it took a lot of courage for you to speak so openly about that. What I've noticed myself through the process of the Grook is that initially when I was posting onto the Grook Facebook page, I was a little bit careful to choose things that were not too woo-woo. And what I've noticed is that the community has given me a space to actually really authentically post things that touch my heart, and I've noticed that that's opened up space for other people. The other thing that I would offer to the group community, and I'll post it again on Facebook, is Mariam Williamson's work. She gave a speech recently where she actually, and she's been a long time spiritual speaker. She's written the Course in Miracles, and she's now uniting the importance of tapping into our capacity and potential as spiritual beings with political action. And I think that is really important. If we look at the Canadian context right now, we had a federal election, and the entire spirit of the country has been lifted from out of a dark shadow into a space of hope and seeing things from an optimistic perspective. So I guess on a micro level, just the voting matters, that we need to be engaged in the political process at all stages. I also think on the micro level, the actions of kindness on a day-to-day basis, as much as we can do, counts. Just a small little example that came across my feed recently that I thought, oh, that's brilliant. We open these advent calendars, if you're Christian and you have kids, chocolates one a day until Christmas. And I just saw recently a basket that's empty on December 1st that you fill in one a day. And just this idea, the paradigm shift of abundance instead of scarcity, it's so actionable in small micro ways. So all of that would be my feedback to both of you. So it's just been a pleasure to start the day this way.
Everybody's contributing.
Oh, okay. I actually just wanted to backtrack a bit and hear a bit more about your teams. To what extent did you have these ideas? I take it you're probably both the initiators of your team. Like, how fully fleshed out was this idea before you started? Is a question I have. How many people are on your team, or how many have hung in with you and are currently still working with you? And as a comment to Greg, just like, if you got to where you are from having started this course in September, I'm incredibly impressed that you've, through this method, got something so organized that looks very professional. And so just kudos to you. That's really impressive.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Our team began with 10 people, all unknown to each other before, but by the time the work actually started, there were only 2 of us. I think there was some difficulty in affirmatively contacting people to tell them to get going. We asked if that could be done, but it didn't seem to be possible to send an email just to our team members. So maybe some of them didn't realize how they were supposed to start. In any case, the 2 of us started, and Julia Castle was the other member of our team, and it was just a really natural synthesis. She had a background in communications. She had a real interest in sort of social collective action, and my original idea was pretty much a website where people could record these pledges, and she indicated how this really could be enhanced by social elements. And one of the things we hope to do is to create face pages that will allow more interaction on this topic. She took a new job about 5 weeks ago and dropped out at that point. But the other thing she did before dropping out was she sketched out a design for the website. And I really liked what she had done. And I have very rudimentary web development skills, but we're using a platform called Weebly.com. That's WEEBLY.com, that allows non-techies to make pretty good web pages. So the exercises were really helpful in terms of the exercise on scaling up we actually did create a model of change, and that made us realize that there were some things that we could add that we hadn't originally had.
Hi, Greg. It's Ruchi again, Anoop. Julie's here with us. Hi, Julie. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks. Hi, how you doing?
We seem to be doing all right.
That's good. I thought you weren't going to invite me there for a moment.
Yeah, I've been caught. You're right. That was the plan. Of course, that wasn't the plan. So you're here now with us, and that's what matters. It's about 10:12 a.m. We've got about 30 minutes. About 35 minutes, which will include, Julie, your 8 to 10 minute overview. So Greg, your fellow panelists, and Anoop have already given an overview, and they were just having an exchange with the audience here assembled on site. So how about over to you, and I'll cue you through the internal text messaging service when you've got 2 minutes left, and then we'll open it up to the whole group, including your fellow panelists.
Okay.
And may I ask you to is it possible to put on a light behind you or in your room, a brighter light?
In my room, you're talking to me? Yeah?
Yes. You
yeah,
do.
Okay. I'll try and do that. Okay, yeah.
You got the roaring fire, or maybe that was yesterday.
Yeah, I got the roaring fire, but I need more light. Okay, I'll try and do something.
Okay. And as soon as you're ready, we're listening.
Are you ready for me now?
Indeed, we are.
Ah, okay, right. Well, if you just
Don't
give me...
bother with the light. Why don't you just start sharing with us?
I'll try to go nearer to the light with the table. Hang on. If that's going to be better. I don't know if that's better or worse. It's a bit better. A little bit better?
Well, it's basically the same, but it needn't matter. We can hear you really well.
Okay,
So
that's great.
Why don't you begin?
Okay. I might need a little bit of help to go to the PowerPoint. But anyway. Hi everybody. Thanks for coming today. It's nice to see you all there. It looks a little bit like a spaceship or something, like one of those Starship Enterprise things with people sitting. But apart from the fact you've got Macintoshes instead of, kind of spaceship equipment. Anyway, I'm going to talk about the project that we started for Syrian refugees. I'm happy to say we've made quite a lot of progress with the project. I'm going to go to my PowerPoint to show you some nice photos as well in a moment. So is that okay? Can I just go straight over to the PowerPoint? I think I remember I pressed the green thing. Yeah?
Yes.
There we go.
On the far left, you're right.
I'm doing okay, I think.
You are. Thank goodness we had a run through yesterday.
Yeah, okay, so now I need to go into the PowerPoint. Hopefully, something's going to happen. Whoops.
So we see it coming up on our main screen here at McGill.
I hope so. Yeah, it looks like we're there. Okay, so as you can see, it's pretty bright and bold. Heart ELT. In actual fact, Heart is the name of the school that we started in a refugee camp near Dohuk. I'll be showing you on the map in a while where that is, and it's actually in Iraq on the border, quite close to the border of Turkey, in fact. There are a lot of refugee camps in that area. In fact, where we've located our school, there are 3 huge camps. One of them has 65,000 people in it. So you know it's a huge problem, a huge amount of people in in these camps. Let me just move on. Yeah, why did we start the project and how did we start it? I actually started a fundraising campaign after being approached by a Syrian refugee called Canavar. And Canavar was already a member of the Grooch, in actual fact. He was talking to Nelly Deutsch. He'd been talking to her for some time and had joined the group on the Grooch. And he'd been talking to me as well about the kids in the camp. Basically, there's not much engagement for the kids. They do have Arabic lessons an hour a day, but apart from that, there's no real play area. There's no engagement for the kids. They're just sitting around. So after joining the Grooch myself, and after talking to Nelly and talking to Canavar, I decided to start a crowdfunding campaign, and the aim was to set up what I'd like to call a safe learning space. Initially not a school, but just a place where the kids could play, learn a bit, sing, and have a bit of fun, because they certainly weren't having much fun in the camp before that. And so in actual fact, I started the crowdfunding campaign with, this is one of the photos. I had 3 photos of the kids in the camp, and I just kept posting and posting and posting on various teachers groups, and managed to raise about £1,500 through the crowdfunding. So let me go to the next. I just wanted to try and explain to you Dahuk. I don't know if you can see that there, but this is Turkey, obviously, the border of Turkey and Syria, and this is Dahuk, and the camp I think is somewhere down here. It's quite near the border. So just so you've got a little bit of information about the location. This is Canavar. So who is a member of the team, the Help Syrian Refugees team. Canavar was instrumental, and Nelly also. I mean, she, from my point of view, she's actually a team member, but she is one of the facilitators of the course. But she helped a lot, and she particularly gave a lot of support to Canavar, who he's not a teacher. He was working as a kind of logistics officer in the camp, helping the doctors, and he was very concerned about the kids because nothing was happening with them. So Canavar was in the team. Sophia is also in the team. She's from Morocco. I believe she's just graduated from. Oh, I don't know why we went forward there. Can I go backwards here? No, we seem to have gone right to the end. Hang on, let me go back in there. Let me just move on a little bit. Yeah, so what exactly was the aim of the project? I mean, we call it the Heart School, but initially we really wanted to create what I call a safe learning space. We wanted to get the kids engaged in some games, some play, some dance, and get them singing, and that's exactly what we did. With the help of Canavar and with the help of a local teacher, we managed to get a mobile classroom going, which we've actually borrowed, and we managed to borrow chairs. And in fact, we started with relatively little resources. The main thing was to get the kids into the classroom and get them painting, drawing, singing songs, whatever. The kids were so happy to be able to just have a bit of fun. I mean, they as I said, there's no real play area. There are no activities for them. Here they are designing a logo for the school. They're a really creative bunch. So where are we now with the project? Now we're really facing a few challenges because I raised a small amount of money. In fact, that was one of the biggest challenges early on in the project to actually ask people for money, and I didn't have any experience in fundraising, so that was quite challenging. But then, having raised a bit of cash, there are a lot of people who would come forward and donate supplies and a lot more help. But one of the challenges really is the fact that Heart ELT is not a registered charity. It's basically, you know, the crowdfunding was in my name, and to be able to expand the project, because you know, one of the underlying challenges is how we can sustain the project. I seem to have run out of slides again. Maybe I'll just go back one more time there. Yeah, so I mean, at the moment, the challenges that we're really facing is, should we start a charity? That involves quite a lot of bureaucracy. We need trustees. It will take a while. We are thinking of starting a second crowdfunding campaign. A lot of people have come forward and said they'd donate, and we're working quite closely with a couple of other, they're not charities, but they're also projects for Syrian kids. One of them is called Films Without Borders. They provide projectors so kids can watch films in the refugee camps. Another one is a UK-based support project. Again, it's not a charity, for Syrian refugees. And yeah, the second main challenge is really how we can open this up and how we can scale it out to become an international project. We have had a lot of interest from Canada, but that's really the second place on my list, where, you know, how can we actually get more support from Canada? How can we get more PR? And how can we sustain the project? Because it's fine starting a project, but I don't want to be in the position that we run out of cash and resources. So where do we go next? You know, how can the Grooch actually help us overcome those challenges and open up the project so that it becomes an international project?
Julie?
So, hi.
Hi. We're going to wrap up right there because you've ended on 2 challenges, and people in
Yeah,
the audience here are nodding and
That's good.
really listening intently on what you're on how you've described those challenges, and they're
I
probably
hope
thinking.
they are all champing at the bit with great ideas for us.
So let's open it up so that those great ideas can start to flow. So now we're going to have an open conversation with your fellow panelists. Anoop, who's based in Washington. Greg, where are you located? Greg, you're also in D.C., is that correct?
Washington, D.C., yes.
Right on.
Oh, okay.
And of course, Julie, I mentioned, is in Turkey. Julie, which city in Turkey are you based in?
I'm near Antalya, which
Okay.
is on the southwest coast.
All right. So we're going to open it up to the whole group here.
Okay.
So our camera woman, Sashka, is going to pan the audience, and we're going to start this conversation.
Okay.
Well, I've been on the board when an organization here in Canada was getting charitable status, and you're right, it is. I mean, at least in Canada, I think everywhere, it's a long process, a year to 2 years, resources for lawyers. So actually, what I consider all feedback to be biodegradable. If you don't, if you don't agree with me, no problem, it goes in the compost. But if I was to advise anyone these days, it would be see if there's an organization you can try to partner up with who already has structure. Because the people I know running nonprofits and charities say, I get to spend 15% of my time on the thing I really want to affect change on in the world, and 85% of my time putting the structure in place, raising money, following rules, getting accounting done and reporting and communicating, and I don't get to do much of what I love in the end. So just for you to think about, where is it you want to spend your time, and how you might most strategically align yourself maybe with another organization so you don't have to do that, or if that's what your heart wants to do, you go do that.
you know, take the 2 years and figure it out, tap into the abundance, and I'm sure you can get there.
Hi, I just want to make a couple of suggestions for the three teams. One is that, Julie, I had posted something a while ago about Equitas in terms of content for the and material games that the kids can play. It's available online. Did you ever see it?
I haven't seen that actually, no.
So it's really strange because I posted it probably 6 weeks ago.
Hmm.
I'll post something on the Facebook page about Equitas. They have games for preschoolers, and then they have different programs for kids that are a bit older, and they're all based on human rights and raising kids' awareness about their rights and behaviors relate to human rights. So, and they have people in your neighborhood. They have alumni, 3,500 alumni around the world that are human rights activists that are, and some of them are trained to deliver these courses and whatever. So I don't know if that would be helpful or not, but it might be.
Yeah.
And then for Greg and Anoop, I just would like to refer you to a project here at McGill called MICO, and I've posted it on the Facebook page, more information about it. But basically, they're trying to create a social score that measures impact, and that, you know, you'd have an app, and you'd make a decision around, I don't know, buying meat for your lunch or something, and it will tell you the impact that that's going to have socially and environmentally. And so they're at the very early stages. Having said that, they do have an operational app, so you might want to go look at it. And I did post all the information on the Facebook page.
Okay.
About 20 years ago, my wife was diagnosed with leukemia, and we set up a fundraising group to raise money. And a lot of people just gave, but at one point we hooked up with a synagogue, and the synagogue was able to take contributions and then pass them on to us. You know, it's their tax deductible status. One of the things is our team was working on transition. We were also working on what I would call organizational sustainability, especially, well, we were focused on why volunteers don't become as engaged as might be expected, and why they eventually, more of them drop out than might be liked. So we've been discussing like sustainability, and one of the concepts within these discussions has been lowering the barriers to inclusion. And within that, with thinking about that, one of the barriers to inclusion is language. And I think that they're developing apps where soon you're going to be able to convene a meeting online, let's say a conference like this, of people speaking different languages.
Please speak into the mic. You're trailing off.
People using different languages and speaking. Can you hear me better now?
Yes.
Okay. Eventually we're going to be able to convene a meeting like this, have different people speaking in different languages, and have instant translations. So, and out of that came the idea of designing up the technology curve. So when we think about how we want to go about organizing our social purpose organizations, we can begin thinking about what's going to come down the pike. In this instance, I think what might come down the pike is I have a feeling that there will be developed at some point some kind of nonprofit organization that would be set up specifically to take money for unincorporated groups and do that. So that would be one way for you to be able to get funds without going through the long and difficult and barrier, really, of forming an official organization. And I think that these hubs that are being developed is the same thing there. People want to do good. They don't want to spend 2 years and thousands of dollars setting up an official organization. So I think that the more and more people like you are going to eventually have more and more possibilities for doing this in a way that's easy. It doesn't take the kinds of resources and time and money that it takes to set up an organization.
Thank you. A few comments too. Julie, like my comments are going to be more related to around learning. So I think one of the things that you probably learned that I can see from your brief is that it was so important to have a person in the camp, right? In this case, right? So if you, as you say, that you want to extend to 1 or 2 other camps, I think it's vital for you to find that champion on the ground, right? And that made me think. I would suggest let's get out a little bit of the structure and the organization, and then let's go back to put the focus on the product, which is the school or that safe space for learning, right? And I'm going to go to astronauts right now, but the way astronauts basically go to space 2 or 3% of the time of their careers, and they spend all the other time just studying how to solve crises, that any possible problem and crisis that can happen on the spaceship or on the space station. So usually the way they try to solve a crisis that they cannot foresee every crisis, but the way when a crisis comes up in the space station and the spaceship and they never foreseen it, the way they do it is everyone in NASA comes to the same room, maybe 15 or 20 people, and they drop all the tools and parts and pieces and cables and metals that they have on that space station, right? They say, okay, this is the 15 stuff they have available. How can we solve it here so we can teach it how to solve it there, right? So when I was reading about the hard school, I was thinking about that. How can you develop a model or help them develop a model of setting a safe space or a school in refugee camps that is as native as possible? In other words, that it uses and taps on the resources that a camp has. And I'm sure that we probably say, yeah, a camp has very few resources, but I'm not sure about it. I would say I'm pretty sure that they have a lot of resources they can tap on. So maybe try to think about a model of setting this safe space with the things that are available in the camp right now. That might help you to build a model of learning spaces that are as sustainable as possible, right? So then I'd like to comment a bit on Anoop's. Anoop, it's been amazing, like almost like 2.5 or 3 years in the first conversation about your ideas on the story of health, and I really don't have a concrete advice to give, but I have a comment. In my personal experience, consciousness is really an experience. Like I became aware of consciousness when I was 31, and I probably read a lot of things about consciousness in the past, but because they were all content, and I never realized what consciousness really is. I probably read it, quotes, videos. I probably heard Anoop's in my past before 31, but I never really got it because consciousness is not a content; it's an experience. So you're probably trying to convey an experience of consciousness through content, right? Through a website, through messages, and I think that's already probably a limitation. You might be speaking to the Carloses that are like under 31 years old, right? Saying, "Oh, that's cool," but you don't really get what consciousness is. And I think there are techniques, you know. I mean, yoga is a technique, meditation is a technique. I personally get to consciousness through the use of psychedelics, which is another technique, but makes it hard to like make it sustainable. So I would say think about how to design. I mean, you're reading your website or your messages is an experience, but I don't think it's a really awakening the consciousness experience. So I would say I will be I mean, that's been my question for the last five years or 4 years, like how to actually create an experience to awaken consciousness, you know, the people as a pedagogical question. And then my comment to Greg, let me just, okay. So when I went to your website, Greg, and I can share that has been the challenge for this group. The challenge for this group has been how to allow an online platform. I mean, people want to learn from each other and want to get motivated from each other. But we didn't have a good enough technology for that. So when I see in your platform is centralized, is hierarchical. And I think a lot of the solutions that people that are going to be committing to pledges to reduce their consumption of energy or whatever, they're going to be experiments that they're going to run in their own lives. Small experiments in their lives. And some things are going to work, some things are not going to work. And you want to have a space where they can share the things that worked. And so others can say, "Oh, that's cool, you know, why don't I do that?" And allow that democratic learning to happen from peer to peer. So I would say I would recommend for your website, try to find a place where it becomes a 2.0 or a 3.0 internet in which people can allow learning to happen, and you don't worry too much of developing content, but developing a structure where people can just learn from each other. And that is inspirational. That creates more people to actually sign into the pledges.
I agree with you, Carlos. One of the things we hope to do is create a Facebook community, which would be much more interactive than the website. There are opportunities on the website for people to submit suggestions, comments, and actually ask for advice. But it's very static, and a Facebook community would be more dynamic.
So it's Ruchika here. We literally have about 6 minutes. That 6 could become a 7 or an 8, to be honest. Frank won't mind me acknowledging or admitting that. All this to say that, do any of you, Anoop, Julie, Greg, if I just bring your attention back to the team brief, Julie, at the end of your overview, you emphasized 2 challenges you had, and they've been addressed. People in the audience, Christy, who's a fellow, who's also a fellow Grooker, she attempted to help you, attempted to give you some advice, as did Deb and Carlos and Alan. Are there any other specific challenges that we can help you with?
I mean, I think the idea about hooking up with a large organisation, that's a very valid one, and I certainly really don't want to go down the line of setting up a charity. That would, as she said, would eat up a lot of my time, rather than just focusing on the project. So, yeah. Other challenges, the other challenge was to actually try and open the project up to make it more international. So in the UK, it's, people know about the project, and I'm kind of getting there. Incidentally, the project was called Heart ELT for a reason. ELT stands for English Language Teaching, And English language teaching in the United Kingdom is an £836 billion industry. So, you know, that is actually not a very sustainable industry because they churn out mainly printed books every year for teaching English. And I think on the materials front, definitely what Carlos was saying is, you know, we don't really need a lot of materials. I think the materials should come from the kids. You know, rather than putting a book in front of them nowadays, if we can get technology into the camps, if we can get internet connections, we won't need a lot of materials. It will be much more sustainable. And the Heart School, in actual fact, should be an organic school, not a school in a camp. It should be like a spaceship that people, wherever they are, refugees can tap into it. But that's down the line. You know, at the moment, they've got an old laptop and they've got internet intermittently. It's very expensive to have the, you know, the USB stick with a certain amount of minutes of internet. So at the moment, it's not very sustainable to do that. But yeah, I mean, just to go back to that other challenge, the other challenge is to make the project more international. I think I've been contacted by Canadians, Australians, people from New Zealand, and they're, you know, they're very far away from what is going on in Europe with the refugees, and they have a lot of space, they have a lot of resources, and they want to help. So they're over there, and I'm, you know, I'm here. I should be able to get at those people somehow. So if anybody's got any ideas for opening up the project to a more international audience, I'd really welcome those.
So this is on a different topic. It's where you started about sporadic internet access and one crummy computer. Do you know about Raspberry Pi?
Nope.
So I'll send you a link to that too, because it's a way that for $128 you can basically load tons and tons of content and just plug it into any old computer. So it basically replaces the internet in a way for educational purposes. And 60 million girls here in Montreal uses it as a way of helping educate girls in remote places in Africa.
Wow, that's great. Thank you.
Judith, this is Greg. You might want to go back and look at the video by John Wood, because that guy could sell refrigerators to Eskimos, and I thought he had a number of very practical ideas about fundraising.
Okay.
I do share the comments stated before that starting up a nonprofit is a big investment, and if you could link up with one or more that's amenable to branching out and doing what you want to do, I think you'd have a better chance. And one of the things John Wood said is you need to be able to state in a sentence what you're doing, and it has to be really compelling. And you know what you're doing, but I don't think you have it down to one sentence yet.
Yeah, I'll give it a try. Not now, but I'll think about it. Thanks. That's good advice. I mean, it's the same with anything you're selling. That's what they say. You should get it down to a short sentence.
I also think, I also think key to the fundraising is the timeliness of the story. All media is right now focused on the Syrian refugee crisis, to their credit and to the public's credit for wanting to read more about it. And I think earlier when you were sharing your 8 to 10 minute overview, you were talking about the need for more media attention, because I think there's a snowball effect that takes place. So I certainly think that the group community within their own networks know people in the media that might be able to share the story. So I think we can post onto Facebook and maybe some people can help you out to get word out. I know we're going to try through our own communications when we talk about the impact of the group. This is, you know, I mean, that's real impact that you've been working on, and we're thrilled to share. But I think that's key. I really think that's key.
Yeah, that's good advice.
All right, so first, just a comment for Anoop. I'm not sure if you're familiar with, lost my paper. If you're familiar with the author Sam Harris, he wrote a book called Waking Up, and he really describes spirituality in a very secular way, a very scientific way that it's a very effective way. Sorry. So the author Sam Harris wrote a book called Waking Up, and he very effectively conveys your ideas in a very secular way. So I'd recommend looking into him if you're not familiar with him already. And secondly, just to all the current participants, how do you think we could continue supporting your projects even once this group is over, this first iteration? In what ways do you think we can continue to help you?
Well, hello? Can I ask a question? Yeah. Have we lost the sound?
Go ahead.
I think that some of the material on fundraising is really useful, and I think I personally would really welcome any more videos or any more hints into the whole fundraising game, if we want to call it a game, because it is a complex scenario, and I'm learning as I go along, but I think it's the same as anything. It takes quite a lot of time to. I mean, I've tried different approaches, but I think some more expertise or some videos or some training in that area would certainly go down well, personally.
And just a quick note, we have to wrap up this session quickly, so just a few more minutes for the current participants.
In answer to your question of what you folks might be able to do for Climate Pledge, I indicated before, go to the site, and actually the best thing you could do is make a pledge and submit it through the site. It's always hard to get the first few people to do anything, and once people have started, people are more willing to join in. Welcome any feedback you might have, and again, I really want to thank the instructors and the staff for the help they've given us.
For me, the quick thing is, if there's any, the more I talk about this, the more I feel like I can communicate it more clearly. So any opportunities to speak about this again in any environment would be appreciated.
Thank you to all three of you. Oh, you're getting a round of applause. I hope you hear those applause loud and clear.
That's great.
Thank you.
So you are our first group. You launched the Groocathon, so for that we're really grateful. There were one or two minor tech issues. We got through those, and we got to hear you and meet you. For most of us, we were all meeting for the first time. So again, we're really grateful, especially if you had to wake up earlier than usual or stay up later than usual. We're going to be moving to Group B. We invite you to stay online, not through Google Hangouts, but on the edX platform, as you're aware of, to hear about, coming up is social cliniquing. In fact, Christy's in the room with us. She'll be presenting with her colleagues online. Social business, a tool to restore dignity and life. Ramon, I believe, is in the room. In any event, the schedule is uploaded on the edX platform. You also have it in your own inboxes as I sent those to you. So, stay tuned if you can, unless you have to go to an office. But again, we're really grateful that you joined us this morning, and we'll be in touch through different media.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. That's great. Thanks
Bye.
very much. Bye-bye. Thank you. Bye.
Hey, Claire.
Hi, who's that?
Can we see you? I see you there. So you're in the next group, I think, eh?
That's right. I was just getting it all installed.
You can read our sign. We're just having a little break here.
That's fine. I just
Can
wanted
you
to.
is it possible to just tilt down your camera a bit? That's not that much. Go back up a bit. That's perfect. There we go. Nice. Lighting's good. Okay.
That work?
It's hard to keep it steady, eh? Is it a laptop?
It's an iPad.
Okay, it's perfect right now. Perfect right
Okay.
now. Yeah.
So I'm just gonna go and I'll be back in a couple of minutes then.
Okay.
All right.
Hi, Claire. As you can see, it's like herding cats here.
That's okay. No problem.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So we also have a text running along the side. If you go to your screen on the top, if you roll the mouse over to the top left corner, you should see a little blue box, and you can click on that and opens up a text chat on the right-hand side.
I'm in the iPad app, so I don't
Oh, you're in the
have.
iPad app. Okay. I don't know if that works on the iPad app.
Not sure. I'm not seeing.
Okay. In that case, just open your email in case we need to reach you.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, Maria's here. I'm going to turn off this microphone. Or are you going to start the session? Yeah, I think so.
So is the microphone going to stay on or not?
Am I here? I'm already mute here. And mute? Okay, everyone, we're gonna. No, I want to mute myself. I'm.
Hello, this is Maria.
Hi, Maria. I can hear you. Can you hear the group?
I don't think so.
Try pressing. We might be muted. Try pressing on the symbol for the room so that you can see the room.
Yes, we can hear you pretty well, Maria.
Oh, perfect. Good.
Yeah. And Claire.
Okay, fellow panelists, good morning.
Good morning.
Maria and
Claire.
Maria and Claire. Christy's here. I imagine you've already seen her in the audience, or maybe we'll have Sashka, our camerawoman, pan to Christy.
Hi, Christy.
So seated to Christy's right is Ramon. He's part of your panel, Group B. But we're actually going to start with Team 1, which is yours, Social Clinicking. And then Team 2, we have Ramon, who I just introduced you to. And then Team 3, just following the schedule that you probably have on hand, is Promoting Ethnic Harmony in Afghanistan. And we have 2 speakers, hopefully 2 online presenters. Now, they haven't logged on yet, which means that we're gonna just launch into this, and we're going to start with Social Clinicking. So, Christy, you're here on site.
You do have one person online, Anita, I think.
Yeah, so we have so you have Susan. Yes, we can see who's online as well. Thanks for that. We can also you can send me an email if you notice anything unusual.
Perfect.
Otherwise, if you are using the, because I know Claire that you're using the iPad app, so you can't pull up the text messaging service
I'll use email then.
or Redly. But Maria, if you can hear me, if you could pull up the text messaging service, so that's the blue icon on the far left.
Yes, I got it.
That would be handy to have open in case we need to speak. I just got a text from you. That's brilliant. So I'm going to hand it over to Christy to start us all off. You'll have about 8 to 10 minutes for an overview, and feel free to use your brief to anchor your discussion. So Christy, we'll hand you the mic. Okay. We're officially starting at 11:09.
Hi, everybody. Okay, just checking this is on. So I'm Christy Huff. I am a consultant based here in Montreal. I do a lot of work in community development, community vitality in the English community, and working with schools in particular. I also consult nonprofits and other organizations about how to be effective in planning, developing, and evaluating their social impact. And so when I joined the group, because my friend Alex McGill was involved in the the facilitation team aspect, and I'd heard of Anita through a nonprofit connection I have that she also has, and Henry's name, I thought I'll give this a try. I'll see what it's about, see if I have time, and so I followed the first week and learned that I was supposed to be part of a team, and I was like, I'm not sure that I really want to develop a social initiative right now. I'm interested in learning more about what's happening in the world of social initiatives, but I didn't really feel I had the capacity to be part of a design team trying to develop a prototype. So I took Henry's Be Subversive advice and posted in an unconventional and cross-topic that I wanted to develop a group around learning about social impact. So I said at that time that I was looking for others who support organizations in scaling their social impact initiatives, whether the initiative is a social entrepreneurship, a program, a model, or a concept. I'm doing a lot of consulting work in this area now and would love to have a group to have generative discussions with. And kind of a week went by, and I thought no one had joined my team because I didn't actually click on the team, and it said there was only me, and so I was like ready to drop out altogether. And lo and behold, before doing that, click the thing, there are 10 people in a room having a conversation about my topic. Isn't that great? And so you're going to meet a couple of my team members. Over time, some people left, some stayed. We've ended up with 6 women who've been highly engaged. They are in their lives coaches, consultants, helpers, intermediaries, interveners, developers, all with different lenses, backgrounds, worldviews. And so we've had these really awesome conversations that we have enjoyed very much. And how we got to have those conversations was we first, I think in the week where Raycast talked about what you should do to build your team, we started having one-to-one Skype calls, some of us, just to get to know each other's projects. And after one of those calls, I was thinking about my own work and had a bunch of people doing a breakfast program in several schools. And one of the people had mentioned to me she evaluated a breakfast program using social return on investment. I was like, how cool. I'd love to hear more. And I said, group, why don't we use this format from my master's program where we clinic projects by having the person who is doing the consulting work speak about the program for about 10 minutes, kind of like this. And we go through different question areas to reflect on it. And so basically our questioning areas sort of ended up following the flow of the course topics. In fact, we would sort of have one when we were focusing on measuring, and we got to the end of the conversation and ended up going, there's an issue around resourcing here. And then the next week's topic would be resourcing. We'd be like, great, we're on resourcing, you know? And so pretty much we used content from the course in our conversations. We always talked about scaling. We always talked about evaluating. And sometimes we talked about communications. The least we talked about is resourcing. So the next step for our group is actually that our next conversation is to go back through the 4 projects we clinicked and talk about resourcing. Because one of our team members, Claire, who's up there, is got a lot of expertise in resourcing, and we haven't really leveraged her expertise fully yet. So we're going to go back and do some meta-level reflection on that. So yeah, we clinicked 4 very, very different projects, and so those helped us ground our learning. And we thought about offering that service to the group community, and we decided actually that we weren't ready to adapt our model yet, because we've been able to do these things very clinically. You know, we're all professionals. They're not our projects. They're somebody else's babies. And we didn't feel that we were ready to like do it from a different angle. I'm sure we can. You know, the will and the skill is there. We just have to find the resource of time to adapt. So other questions that we have, I don't know how many minutes I'm at, but the team was interested in the leadership team here, or other facilitators and panelists' ideas about other ways that you might ground yourself in understanding a project than our sort of clinicking format. So there was sort of interest in different formats. Also, from a reflection, one of the things that came up for me a lot was that I felt that in the early stages of social initiatives, that groups, leaders, whatever you call them, teams, I think I see a need for more support around grounding themselves in research and the knowledge that's already out there, and helping to build their theory of change. I do a lot of facilitation in theory of change. It took me years to fully wrap my head around how to help an organization with their theory of change and do it, you know, well, all the way through. So I feel like there's a need for kind of grassroots support in that. There are lots of big organizations and consulting groups out there doing this, but it's a curiosity I have, and maybe for my future and other people in my team, depending. But you know, is there kind of a need that we could serve in some new and innovative way? Team members, is there anything I left out that you would have liked me to have said?
No, I think that just to travel on that last note, that we are definitely have already discussed our interest in continuing as a group beyond this course, and that part of this interest in other frameworks, other perspectives, and that, you know, exploring that unmet need that may be out there is to help us guide ourselves how we might make ourselves more concrete. At a minimum, we know we can, you know, continue to interact as a small network of people who have grown to know each other and value each other, but we're interested in how we might actually make ourselves perhaps more valuable to a larger community than ourselves and the groups that we serve directly.
Maria, you have anything to add, or you're good?
I think it's a good summary what you presented.
Okay, lovely. Thanks so much, Christine. It's great that you're on site here because you're meeting with fellow group participants who themselves have formed teams, and you can most definitely discuss, you know, perhaps social clinicking with them or perhaps their colleagues, because many of us, of course, work in offices or spaces where people are launching their initiatives and may need this kind of support that you're offering. Ramon is up. He's got a mic in hand, so he'll be presenting. Ramon, you'll have about 8 to 10 minutes to present an overview.
Yes, that's right.
Social business, a tool to restore dignity and life of BOP humanity. And you'll tell us what the BOP stands for.
Okay, I will.
The floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you. Please set up my PowerPoint. Okay, good. Thank you. Actually, I just arrived and a little tired, but I'll do my best. Okay. The name of our team is Social Business, a tool to restore dignity in life of BOP humanity. Because this was not my original idea. I think BOP means here it's the base of the pyramid or the poor and needy people. In actuality, the initiative is on goat raising and sharing to poor household. Next slide, please. Yeah, you just click the number 2. There. Thank you. My team members are, of course, yours truly, Ramon Corpus from Laval, Quebec, Canada, originally from the Philippines. Back to slide 2, please. There. Number 2, click. Okay, thank you. Next, Jessica Garcia from Venezuela. Third, Alba Milina from Colombia. And last, Queen Elise from USA. We joined the team in the ADX team chat space because we like the world to be a better place and to learn more on social business project or initiative. Next slide, please. Our social initiative is on goat raising and sharing to poor households. Briefly, is to distribute 1 pair of male and female goats per 1 poor household as a cheap source of animal protein in the diet, that is in goat meat and or milk, for them to have a better health condition, the recipient beneficiary family. And also as an additional source of livelihood or income by them to have that little livelihood of goat propagation in order for them to have their basic necessities in life, such as in food. The stage of development of this project is still on scaling, particularly diffusing, announcing of this idea prototype to the public. Next slide, please. This is the simple version of the prototype. Initially, we have to apply for grants to government and foundations. And secondly, to recruit volunteers and student interns to solicit donations and or do goat raising in the farm. And next, we have to look for good source of goat breeder stock. At least we could start from 10 to 20 pairs. And then we have to look for a cheap pasture lowland on hills or on foot of the mountains in the rural area. We could also do cut and carry the grasses and leaves operation in urban area in order to use only small land. Next, we have to look for buyers of our goat meat and or milk to restaurants and meat stores, others, in order for us to have a revenue to buy more goats to be distributed and to maintain our operation. And the simple system of this goat sharing, goat raising and sharing is to, we have to get the first offering back to the social project, and the second one to be given to the beneficiary or the racer, the goat racer, so on and so forth, to sustain efforts and to continue the operation of the project, if not to duplicate and propagate to other community in need. Next slide, please. The next step to take our social initiative forward is from scaling to resourcing. Again, initially we have to apply for grants to government and foundations. And the challenges, back to the slide, please. Not the title, the almost, there. Thank you. So here, basically, the challenges to move forward is we, particularly I, do not have experience in applying grants for a social project, particularly in goat racing and sharing. Second, I don't have information and connection where to apply for grants aside from the internet using the Google search engine. Next slide, please. And to overcome these challenges with the assistance of the group community, I need this kind of information and assistance where, in particular, to apply for a grant which has a high chance of approval for this kind of social project, and any additional information and advice to be able to start this initiative, this SONIS, would be most appreciated and most welcome. Thank you and have a nice day. Next slide, please. A little visuals. This is the cut and carry the grasses and leaves operation that could be done in urban area, because you will only need a small land here because you have to bring the leaves and the grasses to be fed, or you can use additional commercial feeds, but that's expensive, but you can do it. Next slide, please. Next visuals. These are goats in a free roaming pasture. So you just leave them in the land. They will survive by themselves. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ramon. We will survive without. They will survive rather without anyone troubling them. Maybe that's the problem, is that we trouble them, i.e. the goats. Human beings, in other words, are troublesome. Forgive me. Let me just move on. We can have a conversation about that at lunch. I'm digressing. Forgive me. Group B. So we have a facilitator in the room. Deb, you're one of your team members or team learners, Garthanai, if I'm not pronouncing that correctly. Can you hear me? Amin? Or it's not Garcia. Garsanai or Amin? Promoting ethnic harmony in Afghanistan. I know we have a team member from Promoting Ethnic Harmony in Afghanistan. If you can hear me, just send us a cue. Okay. Okay, so we have another team member from Promoting Ethnic Harmony who's joining us. Surya or Suraya?
Yes, I'm hearing.
Are you Surya? Or
yes, Surya.
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 Okay, pleasure. Deb, your facilitator, is in the room. She was really looking forward to
Hi.
to meeting you.
Hi, ma'am.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, Deb.
So are you ready? To
Fine.
Are you guys ready?
Yes, Surya. Yes, Surya.
Surya, I'm going to pass you to Frank. He's going to give you some advice on the sound. There's a lot of sound coming from
Okay,
your
okay.
end. So here's Frank.
I think are you listening to the live stream right now? Sura, she's muted. Okay. Hi, Sura. Oh, there you are. Okay.
Yes, I can hear you well, and I can just see all
Okay. Great.
panel team. Yes, yes.
Very good. Okay. Sound good.
Hi, Ruchika.
Hi. It's morning.
Hi.
It's morning time here in Montreal. 11:30 a.m. We just heard from our first panel, our first team, our first group, Social Clinicking. They just finished giving an overview of their project. We're going to move to you now. And your facilitator is here if you needed. I don't imagine you need support, but it's quite fun that I love that Deb is here to support you if need be. But in any event, as soon as you're ready to share with us your social initiative, you'll have about 8 to 10 minutes, and then we'll move to the next team. So why don't you begin?
Dear Ruchika, I've sent you a PowerPoint presentation. Can you focus? Can you bring that PowerPoint presentation?
You're going to have to give me a couple of minutes because it arrived late. So I'm late in my inbox rather. So give me a few minutes. Could you just start speaking? And I believe a couple of your team members are also online. So while I'm pulling the PowerPoint up, just feel free to talk to the audience. They're really anxious to hear about your group's initiative. And Deb is here in the room if she needs to clarify anything.
Is everything clear now? Can everyone hear me?
Hear you.
Hello.
Begin to present, and we will. Oh, somebody else. Margaret is there. Hello, Margaret.
Hello everyone. I would like to represent my regards to everyone. From the name of our group is Vivid, that our team is focusing on ethnic group and social harmony in Afghanistan. So our focus was mostly to improve awareness of our people and to remove discrimination, mostly in local level and also among new generation. So what our initiative did as team members, we focused mostly on
Surya. Surya. She's gone. Okay.
So do we have any other members of of Promoting Ethnic Harmony Afghanistan online? I think we do. If you can hear me, could Garsanai Amin, if you can hear me, could you say so? Could you say yes, I can hear you? Is there anyone online from Promoting Ethnic Harmony in Afghanistan? Garsanai, she can't hear us well. Is there something perhaps on her end that she can adjust, Frank? with something within her power. Could you ask her to start speaking? Let's see if we can hear her. Maybe it'll work the other way around. So social clinicking, thanks for your patience. You've been following the conversation, so you know we're trying to connect to promoting ethnic harmony in Afghanistan. We'll make one or two more attempts. Oh, hang on.
And if you're yeah,
Hello, can you hear me?
Hi, Soraya.
Hello, I think there is a technical problem here. I cannot.
Okay.
Rosika, can you hear me? Oh, that's great then. I think my voice is reflecting many times, and I hear my voice many times.
Yeah. Everyone turn off your edX.
Hello.
Just use.
So, Rasika, would you please bring the presentation, PowerPoint presentation?
Yes, we're going to pull it up in just a moment. I just sent it to my colleague. Now it looks, it's very thorough. For the sound, turn off. If you're watching on edX.
Oh my God, I cannot hear very well.
Okay, not to worry. We'll get through this. We have your PowerPoint, and we can, at the very least, we can the PowerPoint. So don't worry. And in fact, we can hear you. So, you know what? Just talk. How about that? And but it's important for you to turn off the edit. If you're watching on edX, also while logged on to Google Hangouts, you must turn off the edX sound.
Okay.
Multiple sounds. I think there were just some in the background. That's fine. But we also earlier heard sounds, what sounded like from the edX platform. That needs to go quiet.
Okay.
And then we'll pull up the PowerPoint.
It's fine now?
We can hear you beautifully. So take a few minutes now to share with us your initiative, your mission, at what stage of development you are. To the next panel, to the audience. Go ahead.
So our team initiative were different, as we had many group members in Kabul city and also in other provinces. Our mission was focusing on improving awareness and removing the discrimination among generation in Afghanistan. So many students and many our member
You're doing really well, and we can hear you really, really well, and your image is coming through beautifully. Keep going.
So The vision were creating a
Surya,
series of hello.
Surya, if you're hearing an echo while you're talking, can you just take your headphones off so you're not hearing yourself talking to the microphone? If it's bothering, like just take the headphones off your ears.
Okay.
Yeah,
Is it fine now?
that's fine. Are you having trouble talking?
Okay. So our initiative were mainly to improve social harmony through literature, culture ceremonies, and videos. And what our team did through our work, they created newspaper articles, they created books, and also in culture ceremonies we had weddings. In Eid days we had gathering, and also through media we posted pictures and videos for connecting people together, for giving them a sense of motivational sense that they belong to one nation, and they are not separate from each other, and they are we had different kind of slogans to remove discrimination from Afghanistan, and also we had posted these pictures and some video in very uh, with very famous members or famous people who have most likes on their Facebooks and other stuff. So we did this, and also internal, where we are studying like universities. We create like a chain of students who are working to show that they are
Okay, so yeah, hello everybody, and it's a pleasure for us that we are presenting Afghanistan. Hello everybody, and it's a pleasure for us that we are presenting Afghanistan. So all need here. We looking for from her, because many problems, so that's why I started on another. We have which is one group, as are people, the cluster group, as well as group that they are from we will reach so we eight groups are in they we are, can you reconnect in?
Hi, everybody. Sorry that this didn't work out. And so I'm going to do a pretty feeble job probably telling your project. But if the slides can come back up, that will help me. The team started with 9 members and ended with 9 members. They're from 3 different ethnic communities in Afghanistan. So my understanding is that normally they may or may not be able to interact with each other. So the platform really gave them a place to do that. They're very passionate team. They're men and women. Last time we did an open one of the men, Zachariah, presented. They're very keen on expanding their network. They're at the piloting stage, and they're all most of them are students. So they were very busy with schoolwork, and they were very serious about their piloting projects. One American member, the kind of mom of the group, Kara, has started a storybook and has joined forces with an artist to write this storybook for children that will promote harmony. That's one kind of prototype. And they did a movie night. I know at least one movie night where everybody got up and wrote at the end of the movie, which was about the Holocaust, wrote on their board sentences about what they were feeling. There you go. About what they were feeling, discrimination. And I can't read it, but I'm sure you're going to post it on your impact gallery. I hope you'll post it on your impact gallery. So there, out of 9 team members, there were at least 9 prototypes going on, and so I'm looking forward to seeing how it all comes together. Is that okay, you guys? You, Garson. Do they have what? No, let's see.
Yes, I can.
Oh, no.
I'm here. I can hear.
Great. Do you want to answer the question about change? What were your challenges?
Would you like that I answer, or?
Because we can hear you.
Okay, so the challenges for us was the kind of fear among people. Like they didn't want to get together, or especially they didn't want to show their faces on media. But what we did, we just motivated people to make them, to give them a kind of sense of motivation and inspiration that if you are appeared in media, or if you show yourself in media, no matter, even you're a girl or boy, it's no matter, but what will be effective is that you're showing a good message for the people of Afghanistan, that please remove discrimination or don't do discrimination, even it is at family level and in international level or in local level.
Surya, thank you. That came through loud and clear. So we've had an opportunity for social connecting and for you and Ramon to each present a little bit about your social initiatives, your missions, your challenges. We're going to now include the entire audience here assembled on site. Also, there are people tuning in, other group participants tuning in through the edX platform, and of course, there's each of you, the panelists. So we're going to all of us interact with one another. I imagine that there are questions, and perhaps we'll focus on helping you through those challenges, whether it's your challenges or the other team's challenges.
There are many, yes, there have been many challenges and there are many questions. Rusika, I would like to ask the team, I would like to ask about it. for our social initiative, because my focus is not in local level about removing discrimination from Afghanistan only, but globally, how can we create a kind of network or chain to remove the discrimination about religious discrimination, violence, or inequality in societies, which is all kind of discrimination in our society. So how can we remove and how can we create a kind of chain in global level?
No, that's a passionate plea. So we all have heard you. Hopefully your fellow panelists online have heard you as well. So let's just start the open discussion. We'll have about I'd say 20 minutes, if not a little bit more. So let's begin.
Okay.
So we're just waiting for audience members here in the room. Perhaps they want to chime in. There are questions that we're asking, so it may take us a moment to really process through what all of you have said. But of course, amongst the panelists, Marguerite, Maria, Garcinai, Surya, if you want to comment on each others. Now I see Carlos is ready to speak actually.
Okay.
So we're going to go back to the on-site.
So for the social clinicking team, that was, I think I joined for one of your meetings. Yes, that was a reflection meeting, but I get a sense of, okay, I know you sent me the prototype of the clinicking that you guys were thinking, and I was thinking of maybe opening up that model, because so far what I see is, I don't know what you think about this, but so far what I see is you guys right, and helping them through your process of clinicking to get more focus or get some feedback on their social initiatives. So I was thinking more in a probably a volunteer base of experts clinicking other initiatives. So it might become probably a platform where people like you or like Anita or people who have like some experience helping other projects to come to that space and pick, and then you guys maybe work more as a matchmakers of people who want to clinic other initiatives.
Yeah, I like the idea. I think that even in our minds, any of us really committed that that's, a path forward, but that would now? Okay. Yeah, I can see that as a path forward. We're like act as sort of brokers, or, build a network where we have a bank of people that have a variety of experiences, as sort of spontaneously happened with us, and sort of pair and match them up according to what project comes in. Sure, give me $1 million, I'll set it all up. At different local levels too, we didn't get to talk about all the things that were happening, and Marguerite has joined us, but she, out of I guess the energy of what we were doing, has started a local community practice in Winnipeg that I'm really excited about too. So there's going to be probably other prototypes, and then our one prototype over time. That's one of those discussions we haven't even as a team fully had a chance to have, is like kind of some of what are the results of our work already. Did you want to say anything, Marguerite, to get into the conversation?
Yeah. So I wasn't sure how the microphone is working. It's an absolutely incredible project that you've tackled, and the scope of it is really quite mind-boggling. I really commend you on your courage and on your the way that you're working together to show the way with it too. I do think that what Christy just mentioned in terms of bringing small groups of people together and gradually using the scaling of kind of some people working together who then care about each other, who then go out to create other nodes of people who care about each other, and it becomes a much bigger and bigger, it grows into a much bigger initiative, kind of the Marshall Gantz model of building small communities. You can each now go out and find 5 or 6 more people who believe similar things, who can then go out and each find 5 or 6 more things. I think it's also really worth tracking the successes that you have experienced individually or collectively, because those becomes really convincing arguments if you want to talk to other authorities or go to schools or go to other institutions and bring the news of what you've experienced, sort of talking about the impacts that you've witnessed.
Thanks, Marguerite. I just wanted to remind the team, I don't think you got to the scaling module, and Marshall Gantz actually has a great description of the civil rights movement in America that you would find very helpful and inspiring.
It's Ruchika here. Carlos, a question came in through email from our colleague Claire, who of course is working with Christy and Marguerite and Maria. She's asking specifically if you could expand on the friendly case analysis, Carlos, that she's heard about. So Carlos is about to speak.
I don't think I can expand much on that idea, but because I'm taking it from, I'm writing my thesis, my PhD thesis in the process, and there's a bank of people who already went through the process. Usually they advise you how to organize, how to focus, don't be too the general advice for a PhD thesis. But then there's a website where you can go with your topic, and you can also find someone who is probably just graduated within the same area of research, and that they are really willing to help you in the process. So they are like kind of friendly consulting you consulting me in the process of going through my thesis, and as soon as I finish, I'm willing to also help others. So I was thinking that maybe instead of yourselves being the consultants of every initiative that comes to you, think it more as an instructor where you can help people who want to help and consult. I'm thinking of many cases, like even Deborah, for example. Deb has like lots of years of experience, and she's taking a year off of work to get involved in a lot of social initiatives and volunteer. And I'm sure there's people like that with a lot of experience all over the world who can just go in that platform, help 2 or 3 teams through this clinicing process, maybe using your process, maybe also developing a mentoring or a coaching relationship. So more like thinking as a place where people can meet to help each other. Yeah.
If I can just, I guess, expand on that. I think my interest is because I know that I'm aware of a number of the centers for social innovation that are starting up around different areas. I've personally been involved both in for-profit and nonprofit coaching. I think that where the centers for social innovation are tending to focus mainly on for-profit social enterprises, there's perhaps an opportunity to expand that concept to embrace a bit more the nonprofit community building, social movement building, and so on. So I think it's something that has existed for many years, but hasn't found necessarily sort of a nexus the way the angel investor hubs have grown and the centers for social innovation have grown.
Saria, sorry, can you hear me? Not sure if you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you fine.
Oh yeah, sorry, I wasn't sure if the microphone was all the time. Saria, it makes me wonder whether starting something like a Center for Social Innovation, starting with a small group and letting it expand and moving it to new places, whether in fact you're doing something like that.
Yes, it's actually starting from 9 pupils and just expanding it in different provinces of Afghanistan is really uh, motivational, because we are all students and we don't have much resources, but we do our best to focus on our problems of our country, our needs of our pupils, what they really need, and what in this condition that we are suffering from war and we are suffering from different problems in our country, this kind of initiative will be so much effective for our people. So that's why it will create a kind of chain of people voluntarily, and they will come together, they will improve awareness of our people, and they will be motivated by the even one word or one sentence that they have in their heart, to write it in blackboards or to write it in the walls, to express their esteem and their eagerness toward the peaceful, toward the collective, toward respect each other, and toward a better future for Afghanistan, for our country.
Because if you have a group of students there, they're usually connected to universities unless they're online. Then you also have kind of an institution that you have a roof that you can gather under. It's not like you're having to find people off the street. You have a way to connect through the institution if the institution is also supportive.
Actually, I am currently in Bishkek, American University of Central Asia, but I am doing this through volunteer students, through volunteer friends of me in Kabul city. Especially some days ago, I did a specific project about how to motivate our local peoples, how to make them respect each other, how to love, make them love each other. And we did this through a photography process. We took the photographs of different local peoples from different ethnic backgrounds, and we put like a video, and we collect these pictures, like teachers, like doctors who are not in high level but they are in very low level, cleaners in the streets. They just give a kind of hug to each other, and they show that how they love each other and how they respect ethnicity of each other. So this kind of even one picture give a sense and give a motivational and inspirational message for all Afghans who are even in high position or even low position. We started it from local level, and we will implement it, inshallah, to upper levels.
Wow.
It's we believe in a change. We believe in change, that we will make it.
It's incredible. It's very inspiring.
Thank you.
Audience, a fellow Grooker, Alan, he has a question or a comment for the panelists.
Margaret? Is she off? I think Margaret in Winnipeg. Pardon me? I think Margaret in Winnipeg has been dealing with the issue of assessment, and when you were assessing a social initiative, especially one that doesn't lend itself to measurements, she was trying to come up with an alternative bottom-up grassroots approach to that kind of assessment. And I just have a suggestion, which is to take something like Yelp. YELP. Yelp is an app that assesses restaurants and other things like that. And the assessors themselves go through a process of evaluation. So that strikes me as being a technology from the private sector could be utilized in the social sector for kind of like grassroots assessment of social good projects. So, and also for the the panel, Social Business, a Tool to Restore Dignity and Life of Base of Pyramid Humanity. Let me just call that the GOAT project. This is a question more for the Grook co-creators. This team is at a point where they have to do something, and I think that either try to start a nonprofit, or one of the other suggestions that we've been making here is to align with another organization. And there's an organization called Kiva that does something very similar to this. And I guess the question is, let's say take as a general thing, take the hub, a hub as a platform for facilitating communication and collaboration among a heterogeneous group of people who have come together to focus on a single kind of social good. In a hub, either when a team has reached the point that the GOAT team has reached, or just coming on, just beginning to get involved. You take an individual, they want to do something, and now and there's two ways they can go, and I think it might be helpful for the creators of the hub to think about these two possibilities. One is to start a new social initiative and work on through creating maybe a nonprofit. The other is to try to match the people who come. Maybe they have trouble forming a team, or maybe they form a team and get as far as the GOAT team has gotten, but want to take it to the next step, but maybe can't take it to the next step. Maybe they don't have the money or the resources to form a nonprofit, or the expertise to do whatever fundraising they need to do. So the staff of the hub could make themselves familiar with all the possibilities that are out there, and in this particular case, could say, okay, it looks like it would be too difficult now for you to form a nonprofit. Why don't you hook up with Kiva and see if working with them, you can bring some of their resources to your local project.
Thank you, Alan. So panelists, that was Alan. By the way, the team that he belongs to, that he's co-leading, is called Transitions. It's in transition towns, transition cities and transition towns and transitions, in transition. Forgive me. It's 12:05. We have about 10 minutes remaining, maybe a little bit less than that, in fact. Any of you, including the folks in the room here, some of whom are representing Grook teams, just like all of you panelists, any final thoughts? Any questions lingering that you might kick yourself in the shin for not asking during this live session? Just take a moment. If there's anything any particular item, a smallish item that you'd like some feedback on, because we are wrapping up. But we want to take advantage of leverage, if you will, to use a buzzword, the knowledge and talent assembled in this room and online. Okay, so Deb has another comment. What I'm just going to also add before we end in 5 or 6 minutes is if something for you to ponder, panelists, including Ramon, who was one of your fellow panelists. He left the room. He sends his regards, by the way. Is if how we can facilitate the Grook team can facilitate all of you your teams staying in touch. If that interests you, and if there's any way that we can support those efforts, please do tell us, whether you tell us now or later or through different media. I'm going to pass the mic to Deb. She has a remark to make, and then we'll have a few minutes remaining, and then we'll close.
So I just want to say that what I loved about this set of projects or outcomes is how concrete they all are.
and that there's a place for all of you to go with the work that you're doing, including Raymond. I'm sorry he had to leave. And so congratulations, really great work. And yeah, wow.
We still have a few minutes. You know, I hesitate. And go ahead, Surya.
Rasika, can you hear me? I have a question.
Yes, we can hear you well.
After completing this group program, so we will. I would like to have connections with team, because I'm planning to do some chain of activities, like chain of projects, not only for Afghanistan but also for other countries like Syria and other countries who are suffering from war or who are facing with such kind of problems. So how can we begin in touch more to implement such projects in all the countries that we want? So definitely my question goes to you can, anyone can answer, because we need to make a circle, we need to make a chain of people through this group community, that we can be in touch for a long period of time, not this short period, but for a long period of time, to communicate, to facilitate each other in our humanitarian activities specifically.
I'm happy to answer that question. Before I do, your English is fantastic, so I don't know whether or not you have heard of this English expression. When a young boy or a young girl is bright and talented, sometimes we ask the question, what did your parents put in the cornflakes? Which means, what did your parents serve you for breakfast that made you so smart? I don't know what's happening with breakfast in Afghanistan, but Malala is a very bright young woman from your country that has got a lot of media attention globally. And oh, she's from Pakistan. That's right. My apologies.
Yes.
But from the same general region, facing many
ethnic
similar
group,
problems.
yes, from different ethnic, from same ethnic group here.
I think you have been eating the same cornflakes that she's been eating. So I just want to commend you and your fellow group members, all 9 of you that started and all 9 of you that have continued under, I'm sure, very interesting conditions that perhaps we take for granted here. So the fact that you've joined us for this live call and been patient through the technical difficulties, just on behalf of everyone in the room, we're just really, really grateful. Your meta question is, how do we create peace on the planet? And your secondary question is, how can we disseminate the messages that we all share in this community of creating a better world? And I think that it's just a start that the Grook community has a Facebook group with over 660 members. New members join every day. It's certainly not the only vehicle for us to communicate and stay in touch. We, as a Grook co-design team, are taking the Grook 2.0 very seriously in terms of what we can do to increase the size of the community and the capacity for the community to collaborate. We are fully on board with the questions that you are posing, and if we can be helpful, if you have ideas, please share them. But I think each one of us that's part of this community can contribute to the ongoing everyday activity, building on each other's projects, supporting each other with resources, advice, emotional support, spiritual support. So that would be my feedback. I don't know if Carlos wants to add a word, or anybody else in the room wants to add a word, but it starts with small acts.
I would just say that in addition to the Grook Facebook, our team has a Facebook, and other ones do too. That would be, can you get Facebook there in Afghanistan? You're on Facebook. Okay.
I'm currently in Bishkek, American University of Central Asia. I can also in Afghanistan we have.
I'm going to assume that that's a yes. So that's another way.
Technologies develop countries, so no form of Facebook.
Yeah. Well, as an intermediate step, I think if all the teams set up their own Facebook, that would be a way, in addition to the group Facebook, for these things to continue.
It will be a pleasure to get experience and get knowledge from different team members, and I'm honored today. And I'm honored today being part of this panel, learning from your best ideas. And I would like to thank the group team for preparing such condition, for preparing such
Garcinet, it's Ruchika speaking.
So, mostly we are
Garcinet, it's Ruchika speaking. Deb is on Facebook with you, and we can't hear you very well. Could you quickly type out what it is you'd like to share with us in this last couple of minutes of your panel? Just type it out in the Facebook post or message to Deb. Deb here then will read what it is you've typed out. So we have a couple of minutes left before we end this panel, Group B, which has been their second panel of the morning. A very rich, warm discussion. So we're just waiting for that Facebook message. If it comes through, Deb will let us know. In the meantime, social clinicking. Christy, who's on site, as I've said multiple times, is there anything you'd like to add? There is a Facebook message that's come through. Okay, sorry about that. Deb has Garcinet's message.
Garcinet just wanted to add that we also have projects, something French universities, that we will have clubs inside the universities, namely Ethnic Harmony. We started that from AUAF, American University of Afghanistan, which would also explain why your English is so good.
So on that note, so on that note, there's been a good exchange. We apologize for the intermittent technical issues. Thanks for standing by, for standing with one another. I've been receiving some internal text messages here from Maria and Marguerite. Thank you for, for messaging that you were able to hear us well and that you were enjoying connecting with people locally, regionally, and internationally. We feel the same way. We're going to be having lunch shortly. This panel discussion officially ends at 12:30. At the moment, it's 12:17. I'm again going to say, if there are any final thoughts that you wish to share, please do, especially from social clinicking.
I have a thought that sort of emerged as a result of this panel, and that's sort of the difference in cultural approaches to resourcing, the difference in available resources and opportunities depending on where the initiative is. Coming from the West and coming from, you know, a North American-driven private sourcing fundraising model, international development models where we have NGO partnerships, foundations, and so on. I think that it's interesting to me that our social clinicking group is a group of facilitators who gathered together because what we're good at is facilitating and being intermediaries for others who have a vision and need bridging help. And so I think it's always fascinating to me that drive to come up with, you know, a project and take on that creating challenge is fascinating to me in many ways, and I'm much more comfortable facilitating in some cases than in coming up with a need and identifying a need. And so I think the cultural difference in both the creating and the resourcing is something that might be embedded in our societies.
I hope, Surya, are you documenting some of the different steps and the resources that you're bringing in and the kinds of challenges at different phases? Because as you scale up, some of the things that are going on, you may find that another group that maybe is half a year behind you or so at some point will be experiencing similar things. And if you've tracked the resources that were needed in different situations or the processes that you used, then you might, it's so easy to forget later.
The process and the challenges that the process that we used was connecting with pupils and how we could connect with those people and how could we interact with those people in local level, and also how could we convince them that what we are doing is peaceful and what we are doing is reliable for you was a bit problematic for us, because many people were they scared, because in our country we sometimes do not trust ourselves because of insecurity or security problems or like that. So even some Hazara people were they did not wanted to take pictures or like that stuff. So we suffered, we just faced with many problems during our recordings or videoing or just taking pictures. But with that, we again we used kind of motivational process or like motivating words or to make them, to convince them that we are making this for a video or for a peaceful motivational message. So it's nothing too fair about, or it's nothing too fair about such kind of issues.
Hi, sorry, unrelated to the prior comment, just so it's not building. I guess for me, listening today, I do feel like when I hear the experience of group participants and where they're at and where they're trying to develop in their projects and the points at which they need support, I think at the points where they start to get a bit stuck. I realize this is one solution toward that, but I do think you need a deeper, something that goes deeper. And so I would just, my reflection would be that I think there's some coaching and consulting process that could be built in for future, and you probably already have that feedback or reflection, but that's the biggest thing I see. Like, I think, in fact, if our group had the capacity to clinic more projects, having a group like ours that you tailor in and point certain people to, because we get to a much deeper understanding of the projects and a much deeper use of the, you know, the materials and other resources that we each bring. So that's just the meta level.
Yeah, at one point we were discussing if we should join. I mean, Anita was bringing the idea of joining with a Ashoka network or or these other network of these guys that were running another, the Acumen Fund MOOC, and we said, well, we're not really competing on the same arena, because we're really in the very early stage, right? So we spark the idea, we help them create the connections, and then they're ready for another stage, right? And maybe Group 2.0 could be two groups, like one again sparking new ideas, and one trying to build a structure for a second stage of these projects. That could be apparently a way to go. I would just add a suggestion. Looks to me that the Afghanistan group will benefit a lot from a conversation with social clinicking on the side, and so I'll suggest maybe have that conversation. So I think, yeah, I think with that we can close this second panel. For the audience online, first for the audience here, thank you so much. We will have. We have the whole afternoon, 3 more panels, and for the audience online, I would say thank you for staying with us. I've seen you guys. The number has been up and down, up and down. And remember that we're gonna get back again at 1 p.m. And remember that it's gonna be on the second part of the video. Okay, so in the Groocathon space and the edX platform, there are 2 YouTube videos. The first one we're gonna close at this moment. And then when you come back at 1, let's just put play on the second one. And here we're going to have lunch, so feel free to stay around and have some time for conversations. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.